So everyone should be on student handout 7, simple interest. Raise your hand. What do you know, if you know anything about interest right now? Well, I'm glad you got that on camera.
What do you say?
Shredded lettuce knows nothing about interest. Trenton, what do you know about interest?
Isn't it like if you put money in the bank, then over a certain amount of time you'll gain money because you're confiding in that bank?
Oh yeah, I know about
That is interest. Interest goes kind of two ways though.
It can be negative.
So if I put $100 in the account and I leave it in there for a year, over a year, I might earn interest of, let's say, $12. So how much money would be in my account? $112. Over 2 years, it's probably going to be around $124.
Why do you
Okay.
get money for
So banks will give you, for you opening an account with them and them holding your money, they will give you interest. They're not going to give you a real high interest. Because do they want to just give away money for the heck of it? No. That's the good side of interest. There's also a bad side of interest. When you buy very large items, like a car or a house, do you think people have that amount of money just laying around in their account that they can write a check and be done with it?
No.
What do? They take out a loan. So what the loan does, when you take out a loan, the bank's like, sure, I'll give you the money, but you're going to have to pay me some interest. So the longer you're taking to pay off that bill, the more money they're charging. So when you buy a house, they'll give you the money for the house, but they're charging more money for you using their money. So essentially, you're paying more for a house than the house was actually purchased for.
What if you build a house?
Same, you still have to have a loan for all the materials.
Unless you've been saving up for 27 years.
My parents charged Marshall interest whenever you broke the TV.
Yeah, I heard about that.
What?
What?
Somebody dies before they pay it off.
Okay, we talked about that last hour. A lot of times, a lot of people like using those credit cards, right? Swipe, swipe, swipe.
Mom's doesn't even work.
A lot of people act like they're rich, but essentially they're just swiping that card and hardly ever paying back how much they have bought. So they owe credit card companies thousands upon thousands of dollars. Well, if they die, the credit card company still wants their money. They don't care. So that goes to their immediate family. Gets the burden of paying that off.
I'm gonna spend a bunch of money.
That's what a sweet dad.
Just kill myself.
Okay, I've got to go on. We're running on time. So it says, Carl just turned 13, is now old enough to open a savings account. Previously, he used a piggy bank to save his money. Consider the advantages and disadvantages of using saving account over a piggy bank. So, Allie, what's a advantage?
If you use a savings account, you know it's like safe, but if you use a piggy bank, then
Do you know that it's safe? Have you ever heard of your account being hacked into? Okay. Well, what the bank says is you kind of have a contract with the bank, and they say it's their responsibility to keep your money secure. So if somebody gets into your account, they'll investigate it, and if they actually did break into your account, they will reimburse you for what they broke into your account for.
so they're basically giving you money.
They're gonna give.
Paying back.
They're paying back because it was their mess up because they didn't have a secure account.
What do you mean by like secure?
Like somebody hacked the account, so their system was down. I can't have this many comments. What?
Okay, like, isn't there a thing where, like, the bank it's kind of like breaking down to like something bad happens to the bank, then you can't get your money back.
Not really sure what you're going for here.
Like,
I just remember hearing that before.
What?
Is that why they don't want you to cancel your card if you lose it?
Why they do want you?
Yes.
Yes.
Because
Because they change your card number. Okay, so advantages of savings account. What? You get interest. What would be a disadvantage?
that if you get debt. Because
If you have a piggy bank in your room, you just walk into your room and grab some money, huh? If you have a savings account,
easier.
you have to go to the bank, do paperwork to take it out of your account and transfer it into, it's a lot of paperwork. So, savings accounts earns interest, but is more difficult to get your money out of. That's your regular account, not your savings account. You would have to transfer your savings into a regular account to be able to use it.
I'm gonna go back and watch this video just so I can hear my voice.
Why would you everyone hear your voice?
I'm going to send it to all your parents so they can see how noisy y'all are.
I say all your parents.
Piggy banks. What's an advantage of having a piggy bank instead? You can take it out quickly. What's a disadvantage?
You don't have interest.
You don't have interest.
Or security.
Is there some piggy bank fairy that will come and replace the money if it gets stolen?
Yes.
With the white bit,
So you took his money?
maybe.
I only have 20 minutes, guys. I got to get going. Not when we haven't even started a problem. Okay, moving on. Simple interest. Simple interest is interest earned only on the principal. Principal is the original amount deposited. So the word principal means original amount. It is earned over a period of time and is written as a percentage. This is the simple interest formula. Banks have gotten smarter over the years and figured out that they were having to give away too much money in this formula, so they created a new formula that you will learn in high school and college. But we'll get an idea of how interest works based on this formula. If you ever do find an account that does simple interest, that is the best kind because it gives you the most money. So we need to determine, first our formula is I equals PRT. Well, when letters sit next to each other like this, what operations do they mean?
multiplication.
Okay, multiplication. I need to know what the letters stand for though. So what would I stand for? Interest.
Principal.
P stands for principal. That's going to be your original amount. Shh, just wait. Eager beavers.
Right?
Guys, background noise. R stands for rate, and this formula requires it to be as a decimal. They will most likely give it to you as a percent. You have to change it to a decimal. And T.
Transfer.
What's happening as money stays in an account? What's passing? Time is passing. And this formula requires it to be in years.
So they probably changed the formula to be 10 years or 5 years.
We have to know
Background noise. So, do they always give you a time in years?
No.
Sometimes they would give you months. Well, that would be a fraction over 12. Why 12?
Because 12 months in a year.
12 months in a year. So if I said it was 4 months out of a year, I would change this to a decimal to use as my formula. So that's how you would change everything to years. So let's look at some practice problems. Number 1 says $900 deposit, a $900 deposit for 20 years at a simple interest rate of 4%. Okay, so let's label all our letters. First letter is a P. What number is standing for P? Principal. Your original amount.
900.
900. So that's my P. Next letter comes R. That's rate as a decimal. Which one is a rate? 4%, but it has to be a decimal. So
0.04.
I move the decimal forward 2 jumps. So my decimal would be that. And then T, our time, is what?
20 years.
Is it in the correct form that I need?
Yes.
Yes, it's in years. Now I plug in to my handy-dandy formula. So to find interest, I do principal, the 900, times rate, times time. Get your calculator devices out. Multiply those 3 numbers. And what do you find interest to be? 720. $720. That's how much interest the bank gave you over how much period of time?
20 years.
20 years. Okay? So does that mean your total value in your account now is $720?
More than that.
It's going. How do I find out my total amount?
You add the original.
Your original
Plus your
plus my new interest, and the total amount of my account would be $1,620 over 20 years. I think I had a savings account once, and it had only $3,000 in it. And well, when you have bills, it's not that much. This was only a few years ago. So, I think the way they have interest now, it's so little on the savings account. I think with $3,000 in the account, I only made $2 and something in a year's time. It's very, very low percent, because do they want to just hand out money?
No.
Okay, well, on the reverse side, for the loans, they want to make money, right? So those interest rates, are they going to be equivalent to their savings rates or higher?
Higher.
They're going to be higher because they want to make some money. So when you take out a loan, you kind of like to go shopping around to see who offers the lowest percent.
Do you suggest getting a savings account at this age?
I did a college class, and he told us when you graduate college, put $100 in this account, and by the time you're in retired age, in this one account that he particularly showed us, it was insane how big, how much
So if
I earned.
Savings account. Did you do it?
All while I was growing up, my mom, I didn't know this until I was older, my mom would when I was little and didn't really know how much money I was getting in birthday cards and stuff, she would only give me like $40, and she would take the rest and put it in a savings account. Well, when I graduated, that savings account was like released into my name.
I'm gonna show you this
And you
video.
looked in it?
And so I looked in it, and she just took the extra money over all my birthdays that I would get, like when I was a little kid,
Christmas.
and Christmas money. She would sneak some in there, and I had like a good chunk of change for when I graduated high school to go do whatever with. I honestly do not remember. I gotta move on. I don't want to do number 3. I just want to talk about it. It says, how much is Danielle going to pay in interest? So this is where I go back to, you have to always go back and read the question. Interest, I would have stopped here. If they wanted total value, I would have had to keep going. Always go back 5 times and reread a question to see what they're asking for. So they're just asking for interest in this case. This one, I'm going to do number 4, says Terry invest $6,000 in a CD. A CD is just a fancy name. That's one of those savings accounts you can't touch until you're much older. So it's just a fancy name for it. No. Y'all are making me feel very old. It's not a regular CD music player. Oh my gosh.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Y'all stop. I'm going to cry. Making me feel old. Shh. It has an annual interest rate of 7%. What will his investment be worth at the end of 6 months? All right, so do I know a principal? 6,000. Shh. Do I know a rate?
Yes.
What?
7%.
How do I change? I got to change it to a decimal.
0.07.
And time, what do I have there?
0.5.
6 over 12, which what is that in a decimal? 0.5. So that's what I have to use for interest. I'm multiplying these 3. What interest do I find? $210 in interest. I found myself at a stopping point, so I always go back and read the question. What will his investment be worth at the end of 6 months? Is his interest what the whole account was worth?
No.
What I have to now what? Add 6,000. And his total investment at the end of 6 months would be
$6,210.
$6,210.
Which one?
Yeah, I understand like that it's just doing
It's not added.
So, you're giving us advice about how to like get money. For $100 in your
Hey,
savings.
Reese, what are you adding? This? Okay, what's fancy about some savings accounts? I'll go into right now. This was after 6 months, right? Then the next 6 months, they're using this number, getting a percent from this number, not this number. Do you think it's better to get a percent from your new amount or your original? New's going to give you a more money. So each year, typically interest is every year. So each year it takes your new amount that's in the account and do interest for that new amount, not your original amount. So 210 is just what they earned the first year. Do you think the second year they're going to have 210? No, it's going to be a little bit more. It's going to continually getting larger amounts every year.
Would it be double that? Like what you just doubled?
No.
Yep.
It would be double plus more, though.
Just like the Ninja Army.
Yes, it keeps growing. Okay, flipping to the back. An $800 deposit for 24 months earns $200 in interest. What is this $800? What letter does that represent? Principal. 24 months, what does that represent?
2 years.
2 years, but I've got to change that to years. I just said 2 years, huh? It represents time. We have to change it to years, which is 2 years. How'd you get that? You divided by 12. Yeah, some people like that. What is this 200? Rates or percentages?
Interest.
It's interest. This time they gave me an interest. So this is another one of your issues. When you see 3 numbers, you just start working with those 3 numbers and you don't care what you end up with. They gave me an easy formula. I plug into the easy formula. Did they give me an I this time?
Yes.
Yes. So my problem is different. Do I have a P?
Yes.
800. Do I have an R? So it's just times R. Do I have a T?
Yes.
Okay, that's 2. Does multiplication matter? Does order matter in multiplication?
No.
So I can go ahead and do 800 times 2. And I get 1600, right? Still time R. How do I solve that?
Divide.
You know to divide because right now what operation is it doing?
Multiply.
Opposite of multiplication is, so I'm going to divide. Now, it's sometimes confusing to people what number you divide by. Well, you want to get R by itself. What number is in the way from getting R by itself? On the same side of the equal sign. Who's on the same side?
1600.
The R wants to be by itself. Who needs to leave?
1600.
1600. So that is what I divide by. So I have R finally alone. I could do the zero cancel trick. I have 2 over 16, and I had lots of goober heads tell me that's 8.
It's not 8, it's like
It's not 8. That reduces to 1 over 8. I need it as a decimal. 0.125. So for our rate is always as a percent. This is a decimal. So how do I
Move the decimal.
move it back 2 places? And my rate would be 12.5%. Okay, that was the rate. Then they asked for the total value. Well, how much was originally put in?
200.
Originally? 800. How much interest did it earn?
200.
So how much is the total value of the account?
1000. 1000.
1,000. I'm taking a look over here at number 7 and I automatically see 36 months. What is that time going to go to? 3 years.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I would like for you to try number 6 and we'll go over the answer. See if you get it right.
What about number 7?
I want you to do 6.
Sure.
There's a typo, by the way. That's supposed to say principal, not time on number 7. But we're doing number 6. Okay. This would be your principal, your time, and your rate would be 0.08. So to find interest, I do those three multiplied together, and I get 1,276.
Ooh, I got that right.
Then to find the total value, I'd have to add those two together, and gave me 2,871.
I did it.
Okay, your homework 7 will be checked tomorrow. Your unit test is coming up Monday. Thursday and Friday we are reviewing.